Hi everyone, welcome to SEJ Think Tank. My name is Kelsey Jones. I'm the executive editor at Search Engine Journal. I'm so excited to be joined here today by Holly Miller. She is a professional service manager at Searchmetrics. Holly, thanks for joining us.
Hi everyone.
So today we're going to be talking about what's new in your universal search. But before we get to that, Holly, I wanted to briefly touch on SEJ Summit if you want to share the next slide.
Absolutely.
So SCJ Summit is our next conference. It's happening November 2nd, so 2 weeks away. It is at the Time Center in New York City. If anybody listening is interested in going, the promo code is SCJ NYC for 10% off a ticket. And Searchmetrics is one of our sponsors, so we hope you guys can make it. We have speakers from Google, Condé Nast, Zillow, and a couple other really well-known brands. So hopefully you guys can make it. So with that being said, let's get started. And Holly, do you want to just give a brief overview of Searchmetrics and your bio before I do some housekeeping?
Absolutely. Yeah. So who is Searchmetrics? Well, Searchmetrics is an enterprise SEO and content marketing platform. We were established in 2005. Our US headquarters is in Silicon Valley and our global headquarters is in Berlin. A key feature of our suite is our research cloud. It's a knowledge repository that contains about 250 billion data points like keywords and social and PPC data, and that's all continuously updated, and that reaches back to 2009. I'll give you a quick overview about myself just before we get into the housekeeping slides. So who am I? I'm Holly Miller. I'm part of the SEO consulting team here at Searchmetrics. My expertise is in SEO and holistic marketing for brands. As a fun fact about me, I recently came back from Africa. I was on a safari. So that's actually where I came up with this idea of fitting in and standing out. That idea really came to life for me while I was on the Serengeti. Literally, I got to see all these different animals on the same plane together. And then because of the different shading on their coat, you know, they each had a different unique way of blending in into the plains, or sometimes once you saw them, they really stood out. Um, so zebras, obviously, as you might expect, are exempt from this. They don't really fit in, but I think you get my point. So I found this to be really relevant in relation to how organic content fits in amongst the search landscape, if you will, on the results page. So unlike the animals of the Serengeti, we're not looking to blend in so much as we are to stand out. So, with that in mind, I'm going to highlight some content and SEO related optimizations that'll help your content stand out by ranking as an extended search element. So let's jump into our housekeeping slide and then we will dive in.
Awesome. Thanks, Holly. So, just to answer some questions that we get a lot, we're going to be live tweeting throughout the presentation using the hashtag SEJ Think Tank. So, we'd love for you guys to participate there. Throughout the entire presentation, you can ask a question to Holly at any time in the question box. And then Caitlin, who is moderating the back end of our webinar today, will be collecting those and giving them to me so I can ask them to Holly at the end of the presentation. This presentation will be recorded and then that will be made available on YouTube and will be emailed to you in the next few days. The slides will also be available on Search Engine Journal's SlideShare account, and that link also will be sent to you. And then finally, if you have any questions or if the audio isn't working, please use the question box for that as well, and we can try to help you out there. So with all that being said, let's talk about universal search.
All right, thanks, Kelsey. So with this study that we found, universal search really shows us that SEO is not dead. The study speaks to the fact that search is the starting point for many consumers, and Google is the gatekeeper to that online information. Google processes roughly 3.5 billion searches per day. So the emergence of extended search elements just proves how important search continues to be towards driving organic traffic to your domain. So if you haven't done so already, go download the study. There will be a link, I think, throughout this presentation and after the recording. It's a really valuable 30-page document with some really actionable information for further optimizing your rankings as a universal or extended search element. All right, 3 major trends that came out of this study. These are the things you should really be aware of, because this is what you need to know in order to take advantage of the new SEO opportunities. The first trend is that the original 10 organic search results have now become 8.5. So they have decreased. The second trend is that Google is integrating an increasing number of boxes within the search results. We'll talk about that a bit later. The third trend is that there are significant differences between the results for smartphones and desktop. So this means you need to have data on your website that tells you what device is driving organic traffic to your website so that you can optimize accordingly. All right, so now I know it can be a bit alarming to hear that there are fewer organic listings, but the reality is there is more opportunity than ever if you know how to structure your content to earn rankings as one of those extended search elements. To put it in perspective, it's important to understand that this didn't happen overnight, right? When you look at the broader picture, you can get a sense of how and why Google has been adapting their SERP over time, from blue links to boxes, if you will. So we know that more than half of the Google search, Google search results originate from a mobile device. Google's been working to streamline the look of their desktop SERP so that it more closely resembles that of a mobile screen. And this year alone, we've witnessed the removal of the right rail ads and the emergence of more answer type boxes integrated throughout those text listings. And this is essentially designed to allow searchers to quickly glean an answer to their query. All right, we've come up to our first poll question. So let's get an idea of what you guys know, what the audience knows about the difference between universal and extended search integrations here. Kelsey, do you want to take away this poll? Go ahead.
Yes. So I'm going to launch the poll now and let's see. So the question is, which one is not an extended search element? So you can select one of the following: the knowledge graph, direct answer, Twitter cards, or maps. So we usually like to have about 75 to 80% voting before I close this. So I'm going to wait a
Don't be
little bit
shy.
longer. Yes. It's always fun to
Please
see
try, just
these.
try.
Yes, it's fun to
It's
get the
anonymous, right?
answers.
It's completely
Yes,
anonymous, so we
yes,
don't know if you answer incorrectly. It's okay.
exactly. All right, just a few more seconds here. If you guys could vote, that'd be great. Okay, I'm getting ready to close it. Wow, so it looks like Twitter cards is the majority answer, followed by
Interesting.
maps. Yeah, Holly, what do you
Interesting.
want to give us, what the real answer is?
Sure. Actually, if you go back to our presentation here, so you answered correctly if you said maps. Maps are actually not part of the extended search elements. These are considered universal search integrations. So let's get on to the next slide here. Perfect. Okay. So now, while there may be fewer organic listings, there are more boxes, and this actually equates to more opportunity, like I was saying, more opportunities to be visible on page 1. The most common universal search integrations are, of course, maps, news, images, and videos. The fifth one that we sometimes consider is PLAs, product listing ads, and that's formerly Google Shopping. Our study actually showed that universal search integrations are very prevalent in the SERPs. In fact, about 80% of searches now include one form of a universal search integration. But the real opportunity in SEO lies within extended search. So let's quickly take a look at how the two types are bucketed. Universal search integrations have been appearing in the SERP since about 2007, whereas extended search elements began appearing around 2012. The SEO opportunity is really within the extended search elements, optimizing content for what you see here at the top two: direct answers and related questions. And so between these two, the real opportunity really has more to do with the markup language, right? Because schema.org can be used for all types of universal search integrations, but extended search elements are unique. At least I'm going to cross my fingers at this time, because these rankings are earned. I really want to stress that. This is quality content that we're talking about here. Your content can earn a spot on the first page at the top of the results as a direct answer if you can succinctly answer the question which users are typing into Google. Now you might be wondering, why would I spend time optimizing for this type of element when I could easily use markup language and, rank for the others? Well, because search is the biggest opportunity. It's where people start. People ask lots of questions, lots of them. We are very curious as human beings. We have problems to solve and questions that we want answers to, so why would you not take advantage of the opportunity to be positioned at the top of the page? Your content has the potential to earn those top rankings and to stand out from the competition. Not every business has an app, not every business tweets, some may be more heavily involved in Pinterest or Instagram, but every website has content, and every business at its core wants to solve its users' questions and those pain points. So direct answers are prime ranking real estate, and it's free if you can answer the question. All right, here's a quick screenshot for you again to illustrate the real SEO opportunity for direct answers, and as a secondary benefit to being visible on page one, related questions, because those two elements stand out to users and encourage users to click through to your website if they want to learn more. All right, let's jump in on direct answers, the sweet spot. The primary criteria here is pretty straightforward, right? Answer the question. But actually earning a spot as a direct answer is based on Google's analysis of the organic results, which means you need to be direct, but do so in a way that's better than how your competition might be responding, and taking into account page structure so that your response can easily be found on your page and extracted by Google for this type of ranking. All right, if you have content that can answer specific queries, this is how this is a low-hanging fruit SEO opportunity for your content to be featured very prominently on the results page. So obviously the positive here is earning that top position above the other results on the page. The drawback is that, yes, potentially you may not receive the click. But if searchers are really interested and you're helpful to them in answering their question, it's likely that they'll click through to your domain. Now here's where this gets interesting. These rankings are not set in stone, and I'll give you an example that's on this page. I'm working with Disney Parks and Resorts currently to identify these types of SEO opportunities for them. And here we have an example of an indirect competitor that's currently ranking as the direct answer for the query, what type of animals are at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge? So the Parks and Resorts team, they actually have other pages that are ranking as direct answers, but this particular example represents an opportunity where the Parks and Resorts team can be proactive at earning that top spot just by modifying their existing page copy that, as you can see here, is currently ranking in position 3. So they can literally jump into that new position. All right, so what does this mean in terms of tactics? So you want to make sure your page is technically sound from an SEO perspective, making sure that your page has external links that relate to or verify the page topic, and which also validate the domain authority as a whole. That's just that box you always just need to be checking. On a content level, though, focus on providing an answer that's slightly more than just the straight facts. You want to be direct and you want to be helpful. The key here is structure. Answers that are easy for Google to crawl and extract are typically found in these 3 basic formats: a paragraph form, list, or a table. So the focus is to be really mindful of expertise, authority, and trustworthiness, those types of things that you're exemplifying to users when you're optimizing pages that answer their questions. think about structuring your page to provide clarity to the topic at hand, obviously the answer specifically, any steps that might be involved, and the supporting information that could complement that query. I think actually STAT just released a great study talking about the percentages of the different types of these direct answers and how often they appear. So that might even be some good research to seek out if you're looking for even more data on this topic. The great thing about optimizing content for direct answers is that it can also dovetail into ranking as the related questions. These are boxes which are visible about midway down in the SERP. You usually see these as people also asked boxes. So you want to approach this extended search element in the same way that you would aim to optimize for a direct answer. So if you don't ultimately earn that top ranking, this is a secondary position that is still going to afford you with that same first page visibility. And I think we're at our second poll question now. So Kelsey, this one is up for you.
Great. So I'm going to launch this now. So the question is, which device contributes the most organic traffic to your domain, mobile or desktop? So you can select one of the following, mobile, desktop, or I don't know. And while everyone's answering, I just want to remind you guys, feel free to live tweet using the hashtag SEJ Think Tank. And then if you have any questions that you want Holly to answer at the end of the presentation, you can ask them now in the question tab on GoToWebinar, and then Caitlin will get those to me so Holly can answer them. So we have a much higher turnout this time on answering this question. Maybe it was a little bit easier.
I tried.
All right,
Tried to make it easy.
I'm going to close it now.
Okay.
So it looks like it was a close margin, but
Ooh.
desktop won with 52%. So Holly,
Good, good.
what do you think? Is that what you were expecting?
Actually, you know, that's really interesting. I'm really I'm glad to see that most people either know between the two, because that's what's really important here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. All right, so let's get back to your presentation.
Okay, great. Let me jump in here. Okay, the reason why this is so important to know which type of device your organic traffic comes from is because you need to know which channel you need to be optimizing for your content. Our study showed that Google services direct answers on desktops about 10% more than on mobile. Google primarily responds with a direct answer to queries that involved how and what. So on mobile, you have to be aware that searches on this device can also trigger an app pack, which might mean that a direct answer is not going to be surfaced. Just due to the nature of the device that's being used, Google is more likely to serve up app packs on mobile phones about 9% of the time. So keep in mind, you know, when you're in front of a desktop, you have more time to be thoughtful about the query, whereas on a mobile device, there's smaller screen real estate, and most people are going to type in just a few search terms in an effort to accomplish a task. So for mobile, you really want to have ranking data around device type so that you can be mindful about which pages to optimize and for what outcomes need to happen based on the search intent. All right, we're at our poll question number 3, the final question of the webinar. Kelsey, this one's for you.
Is that you in the photo, by the way?
It is, yes.
I love that.
Completely fitting in, right?
Yes. All right, let me launch this. So, last poll question. If you are currently optimizing for universal search integrations, which are you most heavily optimizing for? Videos, images, news, or maps? So, this will be interesting to see too. I'm not sure
Yeah.
who will win.
And even if you are, guys, when you download this study, there's additional tips in there too. So you may not even have thought of additional, you know, optimization points too. So I would highly encourage when you download this to take a look at the optimizations we have in there for these elements. You can, you know, make sure you're either checking the boxes to do all of those or add those into your strategy.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we put the link to the study in the chat window on GoTo. So if anybody would like to look at that, it has a lot of great info.
Oh,
Okay,
perfect.
so I'm going to close
There's
this.
no animals in that one, but
Um,
just
so
here.
it looks like images are the top answer with 33%, and then maps is second. Is that what you were
Great.
expecting?
It is, but actually I'm very curious because videos are really a great opportunity as well, you know, especially there's lots of different video platforms that you can be optimizing for. A lot of brands are utilizing how-to videos. So images are fantastic, but I'd love to start seeing videos kind of crop up a little bit more as we go. So, but that's great. I'm really thrilled to see that most everybody is optimizing for one element or another across the board. So that's great.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so that actually takes us back to our takeaway slides, and then we can jump into Q&A. So now that you know more about the SEO opportunities of extended search elements, I hope you'll take the opportunity to modify some of your existing content or create some new content to specifically answer some user queries. Remember, even though the traditional 10 blue links are fewer, there are more opportunities than ever as to be ranking as one of the universal or extended search boxes, which are now incorporated throughout the SERP. And knowing the search intent of queries on desktop versus mobile is really going to be helpful to you, and that should guide your optimization strategies. If you'd ever like more information, reach out to me on Twitter, and you can also reach out to Searchmetrics as well. Our handle is down there. We have one more slide where I just want to give you guys a quick overview from the suite. If you need tools, we're definitely here to help. The Searchmetrics suite is capable of tracking and reporting on your keyword rankings as these types of integrations. So we would love it if you reach out to us for a demo, and we can see how we can help you become more visible within the SERP. Our suite provides a lot of valuable data for both your SEO and content optimization initiatives. All right, that is the end of, we definitely have an email if you'd like to email us directly. It is hello@searchmetrics.com. I'm surprised that's not a German hello, but it is English. Fantastic. All right, so I think let's go to one more slide here. And Kelsey, we are ready for Q&A. I hope everyone's still awake and on the call. Hey, Kelsey, do we have our first question at all? Okay,
So
in the
I think
chat box.
Kelsey might be having an issue with her audio right now.
Oh, right now.
Yes, exactly. But hopefully we will get that figured out soon. I will ask you the first question while we are waiting on her. We have a
No
question
worries.
that popped up in the comment box. Feel free to throw some more in there. I've seen a bunch in. Can you talk about, this is from Kumar Madali, I hope I'm saying your name right. Can you also talk about the SEO in the context of local search, such as search in the context for maps or point of interest, address searches, and how they apply? I know that's a long-ended question, but if you could answer that for our comment, maybe Kelsey will jump back on in the meantime.
No, absolutely. And I definitely want to, preface that there is a section within the study that does specifically address local search optimization. So again, I know I'm plugging the study and the fact that you should download it, but I highly encourage that because we do have some specific optimizations there. The main thing you always really want to look at with local optimizations is that you are registered across different types of directories and that everything is consistent. The information matches, between your the name of the business, even if it's a DBA, you want to make sure the name of the business the address and the phone number is all very consistent. And outside of that, then you've got to be working with the Google My Business, to make sure that you're listed there, and then that comes up in the Maps integration and things like that. But I would also say, really just make sure you have that consistency across your naming conventions, and that's going to really help you, at least from a local search standpoint, to make sure that the search engines pick you up and list you accordingly.
Holly, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
Kelsey, you're back.
Oh, I don't know what happened. So I was telling everyone about our next webinar and you guys didn't hear me. So thanks to
We didn't want to listen anyway. No, I'm kidding.
our next webinar
Try again. Go ahead.
is Content Marketing, a 360-degree approach, November 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern. I put the link in the chat if you guys want to sign up. So Holly, I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
That's okay. We couldn't hear you anyway, so it's absolutely all right.
All right, so moving on, we have a ton of questions now. So that's good. So the next one is from Scott Markman. Scott, thanks for coming. So Scott says, I have an e-commerce client that ranks well on its content, but there's very little selling on the page, and it focuses on smart content. If I were to sprinkle in e-commerce tactics like a buy now button, do you think Google would ding those pages?
Do I think Google would ding those pages?
So maybe
Um,
penalize them or not show them in the results, I'm thinking.
Right. No, I don't think so. But I think what you really need to focus on, aside from maybe what may be going on those pages, I would really recommend some A/B testing to see what might be happening with that traffic. So try those, we call those like a call to action. Try different calls to action and see what may be going on. Maybe people that are visiting those particular pages are not ready to buy. So you don't want to just say that the answer is going to be to add that type of button there and push them towards an engagement that they're really not ready for. So A/B testing is a great way to figure out what's going on, where the friction points are with that consumer decision journey. Um, but I would also really take a look at the topic of the pages, right? To kind of go back to what we were talking about today, you really want to look at the search intent. Make sure you've got pages that are designed to address informational topics, questions that people might be typing in, but also pages that address transactional needs and queries, when people are really ready to buy. So take a look at your pages and make sure you maybe look at it through that type of lens, because it's not a one size fits all. You can have two different types of pages. You just need to be aware of how your users are interacting with that page at that time.
Awesome. Good answer. So David wanted you to know that he loved the Disney example. So that's good.
Is that my David from Disney? Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you made it on, David. Thank you.
All right. So this is a really good question, something that people have asked me. Michael Brown wanted to know, can AdWords or PPC contribute to the success of an extended search if the information you are providing is ranking low?
Okay, well, so the whole idea with an extended search element, in particular the ones like direct answers, is that it is positioned at the very top of the page. Now, I have seen where sometimes paid elements will be just above the direct answer. So if you're looking at elbow room and you're trying to fight for position there, I mean potentially you can take over some of that real estate with a paid ad up there. But this is really an SEO opportunity, so it's really something you want to focus on so that you can earn that click, because what's happening is on that same SERP, on that search engine results page, there are no other paid ads. If you wanted to bid on that type of page, you probably could, but that's a little bit outside of my expertise, and I would definitely look at your budget and see if that's really worth it. You could, so again, you could supplement, but it's really an organic opportunity, and placing a paid ad there would really be your call.
Mhm.
But the prime opportunity is really just to own that space by way of having great content and answering the question very succinctly.
Okay. Awesome. Good to know.
Great question, Mike. Thank you.
All right. Anna is asking, how can I discover rich snippets I can rank for?
Um, So you want to use tools as much as you can. Searchmetrics is definitely a great tool for that. Anything that's going to really teach you about what is ranking in terms of where your current set of keywords is ranking on mobile or desktop. But you want to be looking at what types of queries are coming up. You can look in Search Console, you can look in, AdWords at what has a high search volume and things like that. But you really do want to make sure that it's content that you can speak to as well, and that you have the authority and the expertise to comment and really provide feedback on those questions that are out there.
Okay, great. Oh, I'm gonna butcher this name and I'm so sorry. Uh,
That's okay.
I think it's Ishelle Thompson. I hope that's right. She has another question I've heard a lot too. Do you have to place a question, so phrased as a question within your page content, or can it just be keywords on your page in order to gain the direct answer ranking?
That's a really insightful question. So there's there's still some speculation on this, and what I will say is that you do need to um, utilize the same language that is being used in the query. So whether that is using a keyword or reflecting back part of the question in your answer, I think that's a really good approach. But I would caution you with that to a certain degree, because you may come into the situation where there is a colloquial question, right, where the audience or the searchers maybe don't know that much about the topic, so they're going to reference things or speak about things in one way, whereas you, as the subject matter expert, can help guide them and help them understand what the terms should be or how they would be speaking about things and referencing things. So there's an element of utilizing the language that's used in the query, but you also need to make sure you're showcasing, again, that that EAT acronym, the expertise and the authority that you have in responding to that question.
Yeah, I
Hopefully that.
that's another that relates to a few of the other questions we're getting is people are wondering, how content strategy and marketing plays into what you've been talking about. So I think just working with your writers and making sure that you have all the best data available is going to help you figure out, what type of language or keywords you need to optimize for on your content pages.
hmm And we like to focus a lot on topics. We try not to look so much at keywords, even though I did have, a screenshot here and showed you keywords and URLs that our suite looks at. But we're really going more towards a topical expertise. So I would concentrate on what are the thematic questions that people are asking, and then you can address those on your pages as well. And you can even, try it out. Maybe you have a Q&A page, that you set up, or maybe you're answering, a question with supplemental content further down below. But again, to kind of just go back to the structure of things, what makes it easier for Google to pick up your direct answer is the fact that it is succinctly stated, that it answers the question, and that it involves a short paragraph of explaining that answer, and utilizing a quick bulleted list or a numbered list as well, or a table. You quickly organize the information as well. So those are some structural elements that I think are really helpful, that you want to test out with your content and see if you can start to earn those rankings.
Yeah, great. And the organization is good on both the with Google or other search engines, and then it's easier for people to read and scan as well. So it's kind of helps
hmm
in both ways.
Yep.
All right, so we have another question from one of our SEJ Summit speakers, Kisa Shreen. Thank you for coming. So she has a good question. What are best practices for optimizing training videos? I serve financial services clients, traders, and want to optimize around how to use our trading platform videos.
Good question. Again, definitely, Keisha, I would encourage that you download the study, because we have video optimizations in there. Something that is going to be really helpful to you is transcribing the video. You may see some bloggers doing this as well. Video content is almost much like an image, right, where it can't necessarily be indexed and crawled apart from, the name and the meta description and information that you give it. But what you really want to do is almost re-narrate your entire video, and write out some of the questions in your content below the video, and talk about the answers, that you address, or the topics that you're covering, so that those essentially get picked up as content when people are searching. I think that hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Yep, helpful. All right. David Garcia would like to know, would it be wise? Do you know him?
I think I do.
Okay.
It could be
You're
another
so
David Garcia, but I
popular.
do actually know a David Garcia, so I hope this is you. Anyway, I'll stop giggling. That's funny.
Would it be wise to go through valuable content pages and simply add a TLDR, which for anyone who doesn't know, it means too long, didn't read, section either at the top or the bottom where you summarize and answer page content?
You know, that's a nice hack, David. I like that. That's not a bad technique to see if that's going to pick up. Um, it certainly still sounds, white hat, because you're kind of summarizing the information right up at the top. I would give that a try. I would definitely see if that's something that is helpful, because we can kind of go back to the idea of main content and supplemental content, which was from the Google Quality Raters. So it's certainly possible that you could summarize your page content and just say, here's the answer up at the top, or here are the quick facts, what you need to know. Similar to like how you would do it with a recipe. If you're talking about it's going to serve this many people and take this long to cook, and this is why, if you're a busy mom, you want to use this type of casserole. So I would say that's a really interesting optimization technique, and I like it. Call me at the end of the week and let me know if you're ranking David.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to ask you too. How long can you give an estimate even of how long it takes to get shown in Universal Search?
Mm-hmm. Let me pick up the Google phone and just call them directly. I don't have an answer for that, unfortunately. Um, that's one of the toughest parts about this, right? Is
Mhm.
always communicating. If you make these optimizations and these changes, when will they take effect, and when will I see the fruits of my labor? There is no guarantee, but I would definitely say. Keep an eye on things, based on the example that I showed you with Disney before. The reason why, when I work with my partners, is I say, okay, we do have some of your pages that are ranking for these elements. So we know that it's working in some cases. But what you would want to do is essentially, take a snapshot in time and just say, okay, we see that we're in position 3. We want to move into that direct answer box. We're changing, this on the page right now, and try to keep it to 1 or 2 elements. You don't want to go too crazy, right? Because then you won't have a real sense of what it was that you changed that helped you gain those rankings. So be very careful and very methodical about what you change when you're testing, and keep an eye on it week by week and just see if that content moves. And you may start to see it over the course of a month, hopefully. But if you're speaking to the question and really answering that query, it's very possible that you should be able to pick up rankings and overtake someone else that's in that spot. But like I said, be methodical about what you're changing on your page, and then re-uploading that, to your sitemap, giving those signals that there is information or things are changing on the page, have the crawlers come back, and then just make note of it week by week where you keep on moving within your rankings. And if you're not achieving that top spot, change something else, try something different. But it can be pretty systematic, but again, I'd be very methodical as well as you go.
Okay, cool. Let's see. It's hard to choose questions because there's a lot of people asking.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And obviously, as well, please use the email, the hello@Searchmetrics. If we don't get to all of them today, um, maybe we could do a follow-up webinar or something, or blog post. So please keep asking, and we'll corral all those questions. I'll have my assistant answer them. I'm just kidding. I'm looking. My friend's like, I am not looking at you right now. This is not happening. I'm not answering your questions.
So funny. Okay, so Jenna is asking what your opinion is on possum. So, for everyone who doesn't know, possum, which was named by the search community, it happened September 1st of this year. And so basically, it has to do with local results, and so a lot of people thought that their Google My Business listings were gone, but they were just being filtered. So it looked like the update basically impacted ranking in the three pack and local finder results, so on Google Maps. So I'm going to put a link in the chat that has a good article that summarizes it. But do you have any thoughts on that change, or is it just kind of business as usual?
Actually, I do not have any comments on that at the moment. That hasn't been something that has really been on our radar for, for our clients. So, Jenna, I'll have to take a deeper look into that to really give you feedback. But at this point, because it hasn't really affected some of the larger industry, I would say business as usual, but definitely something to look into. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I don't think it's been a huge deal, but people just saw a change there. So it'll be interesting to
Mm,
see how it develops.
okay.
Alrighty, so let's see. Keep going. So here's another content question, but from Bud, that I think a lot of people, especially small businesses. So our website has a blog, but it has very low traffic, and we spend a lot of time writing for it. So how can we improve? So I think his challenge, which I think a lot of people see, is they write content for their blog, but they aren't getting traffic. So, are there any tips you can give to kind of help, improve the SEO from what you've covered in the webinar today?
Yeah. So, I mean, Bud, if you're not getting, it's interesting. Blogs are used for lots of different things. It depends on what traction you're wanting to see on your blog. Are you wanting to see comments? Well, maybe you're not writing anything that's, racy enough or really getting under people's skin, for them to really write anything. Or maybe it needs to be skewed and be more helpful. Um, so if you're looking for more feedback, I would even direct you towards some social media. See if you can connect with some of your audience on social media, perhaps where they, and again, I'm speaking a little bit broadly because I don't actually know, your business, but you may want to find where those social channels where your audience is active and trying to get in the conversation there. Maybe they don't read blogs very much. Maybe they just read, some social feeds or forums or something like that. But I would try to see what's going on in the flow for them and see what those questions are. But if the blog isn't getting a lot of traction, I would really just try to take a look on social media, but also look at your pages as well. Are you answering questions for people, and are you being helpful, or are you just taking a straight approach for transactions? So again, maybe have a deeper look at some analytics insights to see what people are doing, what pages they're visiting, and what the call to action is there, or the intent really, because are they looking at informational or are they looking at transactional? Um, Maybe there's some ways you can figure out what the engagement is there.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it was a little bit of a broad question, but that's some good advice. So, we have one more question. And again, if there's any other questions you guys want to ask Holly, be sure to email her hello@Searchmetrics, or you can reach out on Twitter using our hashtag as well. All right, so Michelle is asking, does do AMP pages fit into this in any way? If so, how do they fit into universal search?
That's a really good question. I think it's still too early to tell because not everybody is really on the AMP bandwagon, so to speak. Um, and because we're also talking about a different device type, right? We're talking about mobile. So When we were talking a little bit earlier during the webinar about direct answers, you're not going to see those as much, on a mobile device. There's probably going to be more opportunity to look for an app pack, and even potentially an AMP page as well. So it changes a little bit by device, which again is why I wanted to really make sure that, as marketers, as people listening to this, really make sure what device is driving your organic traffic, because if you're going to be optimizing for direct answers, okay, you better have more of your traffic coming from desktop, or a good healthy majority of it, because that's where your direct answers are going to be more likely to appear, versus if you're looking at a mobile screen, maybe you want to make sure if you have an app that's optimized as well, or that you're tweeting, in a answering questions maybe that way, and you could come up as a Twitter card. There's going to be some different things different tactics, for different devices.
Okay, great. Well, that is all the time we have for questions. So again, let us know if you have any others. We can pass those on to Holly. And Holly, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, guys, and thank you for everyone for attending.
Yep. Until next time. Bye.
Have a good one, guys. Take care.